G'day and welcome. It is back again. It is ESL Challenger League for Asia, and this is season 47. I think this is day 2. It was supposed to be a couple of days ago. It got changed. We're here now. It's fantastic. My name's Selfish Guy. This is Travis, and we're looking forward to some Asia CS. Mate, how you going?
I'm doing great, and I'm looking forward to getting started, of course, with this. I said to you in our little chat before we went live, I always love checking in with ESL Challenger League in the Asia region. Always some wacky and exciting Counter-Strike, which I love to commentate on, and we've got more of that today, I hope.
Yeah, indeed. Well, I mean, look, I'll tell you what, when we watched that first day of competition a couple of days ago, it was just that. It was a little bit messy. It was maybe not quite 100% up to scratch, but hey, it was day 1 of the season, so that's fair enough. What we do have to talk about, though, is the format. Again, for those of you that are maybe new, haven't really quite got accustomed to things just yet in ESL Challenger League, here's how it breaks down. We've got 16 teams. It's a single group, double round robin, and the top 10 teams go through to the playoffs. And of course, from there, you're just trying to ensure that you get as high as possible so that you can obviously continue to earn a little bit more money and potentially even go through to ESL Pro League Season 20, which is quite a nice prize in itself.
Indeed, and it's a fantastic opportunity for all these teams that do compete, of course, in this league. It's slightly lesser known teams that probably are around the grounds that maybe some people who only watch the big S-tier events know about. They get these big opportunities at Pro League, and they really show up great, of course. That's probably how some of the original games of like Rare Atom, if you remember, against Navi. That was a game that I remember from one of the old Pro Leagues. It was a really exciting one. Of course, they are now on Tyloo, those boys. But yeah, today we've got a little bit of a different matchup for you. We've got ATOX, and they're a team that we've been following a lot, of course, in this region lately. They've recently made it to the RMR that will be coming soon. So they're a team that's on the up and up, I think.
Yeah, indeed. And look, obviously, like I was saying, on day 1, we had a bit of a closer matchup. It was a bit back and forth. One of those maps looked like it might even go to overtime. That was, I think, Clutch Gaming and Born in Far East. So, you know, not necessarily either of the teams, I think, in that matchup at least, were teams that we had anticipated maybe would place quite highly in this season of ESL Challenger League Season 47. But, I mean, as you've mentioned, obviously, ATOX is definitely a team that we're kind of keeping an eye on in the Asian region at the moment. We'll talk about that in a little minute because we do have to sort of jump back and touch on what we've seen already. So I'll give you a little bit of an insight as to how things actually played out in one of the earlier matches that we had, and sort of see how things did obviously play out there. Obviously, Cube able to get themselves the 2-0 victory in that one. Wasn't too shabby of a game from them overall. Obviously, the format, the way that it plays out, 2 best-of-1s essentially per night. If you can win both of them, you get yourself, what is it, 6 points on the board? I think it's 3 points per win. So off to the races, really. You want to be making sure that you can get both those under the belt. And so that's obviously a good start for them. And it wasn't just them that actually started with the 2-0. There was a couple of other teams as well that got that 2-0. So still early days, obviously, but we'll be looking forward to seeing how all those teams can continue to play out over the course of this season. But obviously, the context of the match at hand, ATOX and Mirai Gaming. And like you said, ATOX, they're going to be one of those teams that certainly has a lot of people talking, and Mirai, well, I think they've still got some more proving to do.
Yeah, they're one of the unknown teams in this league, of course. They came through via relegation last season. One of these Russian teams, of course, that can have the ability, because of their location, to play in this league. And yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be really hard for them because, as you say, they played against Cube in that first week of games. It was 2 close matchups. I believe it was a 13-9, 13-11. That second one was really close, but it did, of course, give Cube that 2-0 to start it off in the back-to-back BO1. So let's see how they perform today. Unfortunately, I think it'll be a bit of a tough task, even now, against ATOX. And here we can see the lineups in front of our very eyes. ATOX have a number of names that we'll know very well. Cabal and Dobu, of course, from some of the older Mongolian teams from back in the day, like Renewal, for example. Zesta, MIQ, and Accuracy are all very talented too. When it comes to Mirai, they've got a number of young talents too. I believe Walner is only 18. He's one to maybe watch for the future. You got Seven Nation, Aizu, Janika, and Amino. And they didn't perform, as I said, that badly in week 1. But I get the impression this will be a little bit harder for them.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is going to be one of the more difficult matches that they're going to face this season. I think, obviously, when we're talking about the context of the season as a whole, we'll put Mongols, Tyloo, Linvision on a pedestal, and then you've kind of got maybe a bit of a discussion around the likes of New Happy, GR Gaming as well. I've been seeing kicking around a fair bit, and then ATOX in there, kind of maybe a step below those big 3, but realistically still quite a step above the rest. At least that's the way I would see those teams. So for me, actually looking at this one, this will be one of the more difficult games, like you say, for Mirai. And I kind of want to see ATOX. Look, if I'm being honest, a little bit selfishly, I want to see ATOX play really well in this matchup. I want to kind of see them get that 2-0. I want to see them kind of dominate this because, as you also mentioned a little bit earlier, they are going to be one of those teams that is going through to the Asia RMR, and that's not too far away. I think that's like next week or in the next couple of weeks. So they might be playing this game, and then in a couple of days, jumping over on a plane to Shanghai, which is where the Asia RMR is going to be, and getting ready for that one. And obviously, even in that case, even at the Asia RMR, I kind of feel like they're a bit of a dark horse. They're not necessarily a team that anyone's going to be predicting are going to win ESL Challenger League Season 47 or make it to the major out of the Asia RMR, but again, they have the talent on this roster. They've got the experience there as well. You've got Cabal and Dobu, who have been around for a very long time. And then, yeah, Zesta MIQ and Accuracy, a little bit fresher faces, but certainly still guys that have got some sort of reps under their belt now. And this ATOX roster has been together for quite a while, actually. It's been probably, if I'm just pulling a number out my hat, I would say probably about 12 months at least or so for this ATOX roster, or close to it, because I think they were formed just after the last Asia RMR, the Paris Asia RMR, which would have been, yeah, just over maybe 12 months ago or so, close to that. But either way, we should talk about the vetoes here as well and touch on that one because it's always going to be important. And in the end, we obviously banned it down to Ancient. Basically, that's the way things play out here. Best of one, so you just ban. Ancient is going to be that map that did get picked up by both teams, essentially, I guess. And also that means that we won't get to see Ancient in our second map of today. But either way, we like Ancient. Both of us were talking about that beforehand, and Ancient, happy with that. So we'll see how we go.
Yeah, Ancient's map that, you know, at the moment, for both of us, I think it is a map that is the middle ground map in the entire scene. Inferno's fallen out of favour. It's been a subject of many people, of course, especially seeing at Katowice how little it was played in the group stage. And Ancient is the one that really is that middle ground that nearly every team can play at this point, apart from, you know, a select few who choose to permaban it. So, yeah, going to be really interesting to see. And as you say, ATOX being at the Asia RMR, that is a great chance for them to prove what they can show as well. And I can't wait to see that. And I agree with you what you said about ATOX in this game, because I think to show what they're made of and to prove that they're looking good ahead of the RMR, a really clean victory against a more unknown team here is really important for them.
Yeah, and you can see our predictions there. I mean, no surprises, really, that we've both gone the way of ATOX. We're both... I mean, look, I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but I'll be very shocked if you don't go the way of ATOX for that next festive one as well. I just think, as far as the matchup is concerned, this is, like, in a sense, a bit of a David and Goliath. But realistically, yeah, I mean, there's everything to lose here for ATOX, because if you drop one of these BO1s, or if, God forbid, you lose both of them, right, that's going to be a bit of a blow heading into that Asia RMR. And even if you do kind of dominate in this matchup, people are going to go, well, fair enough. That was probably the expectation. That's what should have happened. So off you go. But not too much to win, really. Like, they need to win this. There's no two ways about it. And I think, obviously, when we're sort of talking about how ATOX is going to be looking over the next couple of, you know, maybe weeks or so going into that Asia RMR, like, this is actually one of the, in theory, one of the easier games that they're going to play over the next couple of weeks, because that Asia RMR, and I've been saying it for a very long time now, actually feels like it's going to be the most competitive Asia RMR. And actually, if we then push that even further into ESL Challenger League Season 47, this may be one of the more competitive seasons of ESL Challenger League as well, because again, those top teams, Mongols, Tyloo, Linvision, all looking pretty okay at the moment. I mean, at least Mongols and Linvision are looking pretty okay. I don't know, jury's out a little bit on Tyloo. I guess it depends on who you ask. We'll see how they keep going. ATOX, I think, are looking pretty good at the moment as well. So those four teams are really, really interesting to me. And I know Greyhound is not playing in ESL Challenger League Season 47 Asia, but they will be at the RMR, and that'll be another team that ATOX has to kind of get themselves prepared for mentally and in the server as well. So hopefully it'll be going well for them tonight. Hopefully that'll be some good comments leading into the Asia RMR. But beyond that fact, we have to get ready for the game, and it's going to be Ancient coming up in just a moment. So we'll take a short break before we jump in, and we'll be back when the map is ready to kick off. Welcome back on in. It is ESL Challenger League Season 47, and we are currently in Asia. Well, neither of us actually are in Asia, but we wish we were, because that's where this game at least is being played. And so, looking forward to it. It should be kicking off in a couple of minutes or so. Quick recap, of course. Well, we both think ATOX is going to win. Yeah, definitely. All right, we'll be looking forward to seeing how this one ends up playing on out. But at this point in time, just waiting for the game to kick off. And Trav, I think you're muted, so that's unfortunate. No one heard what you said, but basically what he said is exactly what I said, which was ATOX good, everyone else bad. At least in this case, Mirai Gaming. Not bad, but maybe not as good. That's, I think, the big takeaway. That's probably the biggest key thing. And obviously, there's a lot to sort of talk about when it comes to ATOX, and maybe not quite as much for Mirai, because, again, they're a team that is, I suppose, still probably going through that developmental stage. They did reasonably well for themselves in the relegation of Season 46. They were able to take 4th there, which obviously secured their position into Season 47. They did well enough, you know, in terms of where their expectations should be at, but for ATOX, like, the expectations are certainly a lot higher, right? They're a team that going to the Asia RMR, we think they're going to be a good team. We hope, You know, I especially in the case of Dobu, kind of hope that things go well for them, because he was a guy that, you know, he's been kicking around for like 9 or 10 years, something like that, in the Mongolian scene. He's always been one of those guys that's like been floating around the top, but he's never actually been on the best team from Mongolia.
Yeah.
And he hasn't actually ever played at a major. And, you know, he's like, I think he's like 27 now, something like that. And obviously you can get into that discussion of how old is too old and when do you start giving it away and whatever. I don't know that we're necessarily at that point yet for Dobu, but like you do have to, I think in his case, kind of wonder at what point is it not going to happen if it doesn't happen soon for him to make it to a major. And he would be someone that, you know, you'd feel like probably should have had at least a major under his belt, like at least an appearance and attendance, but just hasn't really had that opportunity. And I wonder if ATOX is going to be it. I don't personally think so, but they are a bit of an outside shot. They're a bit of a dark horse, and so yeah, I'm hoping things go well for this roster.
Yeah, testing mic, testing. Hopefully it's good. I did reset my remix, so all good. But yeah, Dobu and Cabal, as you say, those are the two people that I've followed for quite a long time in the scene. As you say, older rosters they've both been on. Cabal, I think, actually was one of my favourite players. I think he's 28 years old now. He's been around for a very long time. Just looking back through his old teams, Renewal, of course. He was on Mongols Ray back in the day when it was their first iteration of the team in 2016.
The OG Mongols.
Exactly. And Dobu as well. I remember him on Renewal. I remember him on a Ravd for a little while. That's a team that I casted a few times when I've been working in ESL Challenger League in Asia, and that Eruption organisation as well. All very storied players at this point, even though Dobu's only 24, been around for a long time.
Is he only 24? I thought he was a little bit older than that.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? Because he was on that original OG Mongols that you mentioned, right? And that's 2016, 2017, and that is 7 years ago. Hold the front page. Ridiculous, right? But yeah, that's why I always love watching these guys play, and probably one of the main reasons why I think they'll probably take the win today.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Dobu is only 24 years old, so I guess maybe you can hold the press on my conversation earlier, because I was saying I swear I saw somewhere that he was 27 or 28. I know he has been around a while, but yeah, I mean, I guess still relatively young in the grand scheme of things. So he's probably got some good years yet in him, but I guess the fact is he's still been playing for almost 10 years, and you know, he'd be wanting quite desperately to actually make it to a major. But that's a conversation for another day, as we're here for ESL Challenger League, and the task at hand for ATOX is to take down Mirai, who seems to have won the first couple of rounds already, but into the first gun round, so that's all good. We don't miss the gun round. That's what we don't want to miss.
Exactly. Apologies for missing those first few rounds, but sometimes what can you do? Things happen. But it looks like ATOX in this first gun round have done exactly what they should be doing, and beating the bonus buy, as it's only 7 nation remaining now with his Mach 10. He's picked up the bomb in spawn, but already they're closing in on his position. We've got Zesta pushing through long, and some close mid presence as well. Didn't even think there's an upgrade necessarily too close to recover either. You can see a gun glowing through the wall there. That's the only one that you could have grabbed, and MIQ is keeping a close eye on that one. So that is the perfect start to ATOX's CT side.
Phenomenal start, right? They are able to find themselves 2 AKs that they can M4 and an AWP through as well. So upgrades even for ATOX off the back of that one. But in saying that, obviously Mirai, they'll have plenty of money into round number 4, and they'll be able to force back in. Only exception really being Seven Nation, who has to roll on with the Deagle, which is a little bit disappointing, I guess, given the fact that he's 5-1. You'd be thinking someone might chuck the AK over, but early days yet.
Oh, nice opening from Isu. Moves. Oh, trigger discipline. That's a nice freebie for MIQ. So that recovers it into a 4v4. I thought for a second that it would be a recovery. And thankfully, there was. Or maybe he'd play trigger discipline even further to get more than just the one. But there was no one else close enough to join up. So back into the 4v4. Limited utility now as well on Mirai as well. You'd have to go straight for the duels. And right now, that could be working. The youngster I mentioned, 18-year-old Walner, who has already taken down accuracy, and that gives him a man advantage. Now Zesta is in trouble.
Have a look at this call. So ATOX have kind of got 2 players trending over toward that A bomb site. Cabal is here. Zesta has avoided the flash, and he can lock down the position behind the box. Cabal able to deny the bomb plant as well. And in the blink of an eye, Mirai make a unfortunate call to go toward the A site, which was well defended in the grand scheme of things. Now into the 1-on-2 for Walnut. And he's made a lot of noise, so Zesta will know exactly where he's coming from and makes for short work for that round as well. Pretty big win actually for ATOX. 2 guns through, money reset for Mirai, and ATOX are beginning their campaign now on Ancient.
Yeah, Mirai seemed to the call to go into A there. Obviously, we have the X-ray. We can make the call as we see it and not as they see it. But yeah, it seemed a little bit rushed in that situation. As soon as you lose that kill to MIQ in cave, it seemed to basically force them elsewhere immediately. They were a bit disconnected when they pushed through. Well, this time though, they are together with the pistols, but unfortunately they get split by the utility of ATOX, and Molotov forces a few of them forward. And that is a nice clean up. No damage taken thus far on this CT round either.
That's exactly what you'd want to be seeing. This is exactly the kind of game I was expecting to be seeing as well. I mean, when we came in at a 2-0 for Mirai, I was like, alright, well, maybe I've underestimated them a little bit, but from what I've seen so far, the way that the rounds have played out and how comfortable actually this has kind of looked for ATOX, I'm wondering how long this series is actually going to last. But Seven Nation has been a brief ray of sunshine for Mirai. Not so in this round though, and 3-2 is the score, with 5 guns being retained on the CT side. Really the perfect start to the map actually for ATOX. All things understood obviously beyond the pistol, but 3-0 from that point onwards with a lot of money saved through as well. You're in a spot that you'd be pretty happy with.
Indeed. I do wonder, ever since the big update that CS had the other day to sort of reduce the impact of Pika's advantage, whether it is a little bit more of a disadvantage for teams like Mirai, who maybe are playing on slightly higher ping, of course, in this league. Sometimes swinging with the high ping could be something that helps you out, but just speculation. It is T-side Ancient after all. It's not exactly the hardest T-sided in the game, but you would still say it's a slightly CT-sided map, getting more even than ever before. But let's see what Dobru can do as he swings from Jaguar, gets 1 and 2. Doesn't get a reload off and can't fall away though, so Seven Nation will at least grab his M4. Only 7 bullets in the clip though. If he can get a second, it would be really nice. And he catches Cabal off guard, not realizing that position was open on the rotation. Thankfully, MIQ's got a quick flank and should be able to take him down in the side. I believe he's thrown the M4 out the map, if I'm not mistaken. So the CT side cannot recover it. So there's no upgrade for MIQ, but it is a 4th round.
Back. Yeah, he had one from Cabal. Yeah,
there we
so
go.
he's just able to sneak. I think he actually got it tossed to him by Zesta, it might have been, but
yeah.
Either way, able to upgrade that MP9, which is good news, and it was an AK instead of an M4, so all
even
things
better.
Considered, that's what you'd want. Yeah, 4-2 scoreline though for ATOX. That round got a little bit weird. Cabal, you know, maybe not quite getting the memo that there was a player potentially pushing out of cave, but either way, it will still work out for ATOX. Now we find ourselves with a bona fide gun round for really what feels like kind of the first time. Like, it's taken a little while for Mirai to get back into the swing of things here.
Yeah, that 2-0 round that Mirai had was technically their bonus buy after the pistol and conversion from that 10 still. Nice reaction from Burbu. Always so cool to see how Jaguar players play that position differently at the range. He is obviously one of the best players in the world in that position, has been for a while, and these shots being hit are really lovely from MIQ. He takes another one after that quick-fire headshot. Seven Nation will get one himself, and actually, Janeka does get one back, but it's all MIQ in that round. Lovely triple.
Yeah, these are good signs, definitely, for ATOX at the moment. You kind of have at least most of the members firing that you'd want to be seeing firing, like Dobu, MIQ, Zesta. I always look towards those kinds of guys. I think obviously accuracy is the kind of the one that's missing out at this point in time. But for me in particular, I've always kind of had a bit of a highlight on Dobu. I feel like he was one of the most hyped up players in the Mongolian scene, what, 5 years ago?
Yeah.
And I don't know if he necessarily ever really lived up to those expectations, but he has still been someone that has been one of the better performers. And if he's in good form going into that Asia RMR, particularly as a player who's quite experienced and actually quite solid generally on LAN as well, seeing some good stuff from ATOX. Either way, having a good night tonight, and so is MIQ. This is a good start again for ATOX, and it doesn't really look like anything is going right for Mirai in this one. 5 guns through again for ATOX, and they are making it look easy at the moment.
very comfortable ever since the pistol and the conversion for Mirai. They are unbeaten on the CT side, and the money is getting built up tenfold as well. You already got Zester and accuracy on quintuple digits. And yeah, it's I think it usually bodes well for a team when they're, you know, playing well, they're leading, they're up 6-2, and the AWPers only had to hit 2 kills, basically, right? So what the Rifles are doing their job. The AWPer has needed to change things up or go for too many aggressive picks. And, everything feels comfortable as it looks at the moment. Cabal fighting his way through that smoke in red room. Got 8 assists, 5 kills and 5 deaths in this game. So KD you don't see too often. A lot of damage. Hasn't necessarily translated into kills, but Dobu has removed Isu already. He's had great success so far, and there's Cabal's frag as Janika pushes up toward red room. Dobu finds another, and just like that, it's 5.
Might be another round where 5 guns get taken through again for ATOX, and that is exactly what will be secured, so they are looking pretty damn wealthy. 7-2 the scoreline, and vast majority of those members now have more than 10k in the back pocket, so this will be a huge uphill battle for Mirai. Dobu's just testing out his new mouse, I guess.
It's important with the trip he's got coming up, of course, to the Asia RMR in Shanghai. It's going to be a tough one for ATOX. You'd expect the 2 slots that are available for Major itself will probably be taken by the likes of Mongols and Envision. Maybe Tyloo could upset, maybe Greyhound. We haven't seen as much lately with Dexter, of course. Could do something. I would say they're definitely in that conversation for one of the 2. ATOX are an underdog, like you said earlier, more of an unexpected team to make it. You would expect one of those first 4 to be one of the 2.
Yeah, I mean, in my mind, actually, given this is a bit of a halfie from Mirai, I suppose we can go off topic for a second. See what happens here, though. Oh, yeah, it looks like it's well held down. But I would actually say I think it's probably 2 of 3 Mongols, Linvision, Greyhound. I'm not super sold on Tyloo at the moment, personally, and I actually could definitely see ATOX upsetting Tyloo. I think it would be an upset, to be fair, but not something that would be too surprising to me. And here's the new scope. You look at that. You can see the fisheye.
Yeah. Actually updated last night. I saw a clip of it, but it's the first time I'm seeing it in the flesh, in a cast, or in game. It is pretty cool. I don't dislike that at all, to be honest.
I don't think I would like it if I was playing, but I actually don't mind it as a viewer. It looks very nice.
Yeah.
So I've heard you can turn it off, but I think you need cheats on for that. So maybe you can't technically turn it off. But either way, Janika not going to be able to get anything done in that one. 8-2 is the score. A little bit more expensive for ATOX than the last couple, but that is really not going to be bothering them, considering Zesta and Accuracy have hit the money cap.
Yeah, that makes it look way too easy, doesn't it? When you hit the 16k, it's when you know if anyone hits that, that is a domination of a half. You could make it 10-2 as well. Yeah, I mean, you make a good point. We haven't seen much of about the RMR. We haven't seen much of Greyhound at all lately. I really think they could be probably a favourite ahead of Tyloo. Tyloo are a bit of a confusing team to watch at the moment. You don't know when they're going to perform. And talking about performing, Accuracy, he got the run boost to go through the Molotov towards Shelf. Had a chance for a pick, but Amino hits a gorgeous shot, and that's actually his first kill of the game. So that's some way to do it.
Might actually end up being around for them, but Cabal has other ideas. What? He's just pulled this round out of nowhere. He might get the ace, and he will.
Wow.
Cabal just shuts it down, and just when it looks like Mirai might finally get something, there's a round like that.
That's a shame for Mirai, because they got that opening pick beautifully from Amino, and then the decision to immediately push the other 4 toward A. Caught out the first call of ATOX, but then Cabal is the insurance policy, and that was some insurance. Killing all 5. Glorious hold.
Yeah. Got to pause out there for a second, but I'm not sure that it's going to do Mirai all that much good. Got one round left in the half. It's going to be double AWP for ATOX, and obviously whatever they really want. Could go for an auto sniper, could go for a bit of fun here. But they'll be looking for double digits, no doubt. It's in ATOX's best interests, I'm sure, to get this one done cleanly as well. Right, pretty standard setup from them. Couple of players over toward B lane and some probing in toward mid, but Amino finding the opener once again.
Yeah, accuracy hasn't had much luck in this game. He hasn't needed, really, to have much luck in this game, but only 2 and 5. First time he went for that peak, he got destroyed. And this time it's MIQ to go down to the wrath of Amino. His first 2 kills of the game have been pretty tasty. But once again, the setup on A, if Mirai decides to just go back toward A as a fallback option, even with an opening pick, looks like they're going to try and do that again. And they might be going through a smoke again. That might catch Destro off guard, but he gets 2 and a dink. Wow, that's a really nice hold. And now accuracy can do his work. It's a beautiful triple, and that's 10-2 at the half for ATOX. 10 rounds in a row. Lovely stuff. We'll see if they can finish it off after a quick break.
Well, you can see for yourselves the scoreline, 10-2. It's ATOX looking fantastic here on Ancient. And Mirai needing to do something to salvage things, but I don't know that they're going to get many opportunities. ATOX playing very quickly in this pistol round are already pretty much into A, and with those 2 kills, they certainly are.
Very clean. I mean, trying his best, but I don't think it's going to happen for him. So MIQ swings to remove him, and Cabal takes the last 11-2 for ATOX. That's 11 in a row, and Mirai have had no success, sadly, since that opening pistol and conversion. What can you do when ATOX are on form like this? Accuracy has even pulled out a T-side XM. Don't see that too often.
Yeah, I guess that just shows you exactly where this map is sitting, at least as far as ATOX is concerned.
Can't be pulling out the auto snipers even at the end of the last half because they probably don't have them equipped.
No. Where is he even going to go with that? Is he going to go straight into cave? I would assume that's the only place you really could go. Decent flash. It was a team flash onto Zesta. Didn't really seem to cause too many problems though. He'll never get one. He actually got the XM. Not exactly the biggest of prizes. He's got the bomb as well. So ATOX have 8. They've lost the bomb. They're still kind of winning the round at the moment.
It's a nice tag from Janeka though. I believe that was a stereo frag there with the scout tag coming in, an immediate deagle body shot from Seven Nation. And this is a bit of a struggle for Dobu. Hasn't managed to take him down yet, but thankfully Zesta with this advanced position and now with the bomb picked up and planted on B, it should be impossible. But there's the kill I mentioned on Dobu. Unfortunately, you'd have to run through a second smoke here, and with no armor on the scout, I don't think it's going to be very good to jump through that one. Seven Nation has a glimmer of a chance if he would somehow one-dig Zesta through a smoke perhaps, but what do you really do? I mean, the idea is save. It has to be the save. Any smart person would save. But sadly, it feels very much a painful one when you're 11-2 behind.
Yeah, most definitely. A bit of pill to swallow. I'll be damned if you do, damned if you don't. I mean, what are you really even saving here? A Mac 10 and a Scout? Eagle and a Molly? It's like... woo!
Pots and pans, as they say.
Prize. Yeah, I don't really know what there is for Mirai in this one, unfortunately. I think it really just comes down to ATOX getting a bit overzealous, a bit overconfident, and they may just be doing that. 2 P90s, Zesta and Accuracy, the 2 younger players in the roster. Maybe going to get a little ahead of themselves in this round, but I would imagine ATOX is probably going to be able to lock it down anyway.
Let's see. Straight up B rush with the P90s. It looks like it is, and there goes Walner. You won't know what's hit him. And now Zesta's even going back to check Jaguar as well. Does he expect a Mag 7? He doesn't, but he reacts quickly enough for it, and that's a classic Mag 7 doing barely any damage, to be honest. Can either do 110 or 15. Tends to be how it is. MIQ takes Janeka, and it's only Seven Nation remaining. There goes another P90 kill. It's just Seven Nation. He's going to be run down by Cabal, and it's 13 rounds in a row from ATOX to take it 13-2.
That might be one of the fastest games I've actually cast in CS2. I mean, it's 23 minutes past the hour. I don't even think we started on the hour. I think we were, 5 minutes past, so it might have been like a 15-minute game or something like that. Yeah, that was crazy. But I tell you what, that is kind of what you're going to get, though, when you're going up against ATOX. It is a humbling result, certainly, for Mirai, and it's sort of a tick in the book, I guess, for both you and I, given our conversation about ATOX and what we'd like to see from them here tonight, and how obviously they'd be liking to go into the Asia RMR. That's definitely a good sign. I mean, it's obviously only one of the 2 BO1s that we've got tonight, but if that's anything to go by, it's going to be a quick night.
Exactly. And I think it's something that we mentioned, as I said, another thing we mentioned in sort of the pre-game, of the fact that these are the sort of games where ATOX can't afford to waste any time. We've seen so many games in the past, in Asia, ECL in the past, that I've watched where the better team takes a very long time to get warmed up into a game against a slightly more unknown roster and maybe makes it a little bit too close than it really should be. This was not that. As soon as the pistol came through from Mirai, that was their only success in the entire game, and as you saw with the XM and the P90s being pulled out as well, like they are viable, but not really ones you'd go for in those situations if it was a close game.
Yeah, look, I don't really know that there's too much to say about that one for Mirai. Hopefully they're going to feel a little bit better on whatever map it is we end up on for our second map. I don't know that it necessarily even comes down to maps. I think especially when you get to the point of ATOX buying a couple of P90s in the final round of the map and sort of just holding W key. Like, it wasn't even as if there was any nuance necessarily to it. Zesta in particular did not stop running pretty much with that P90. Is it really a map dependent thing at that point? Probably not.
Yeah, I mean, the only two chances that we saw Mirai have on the first half when they had that opening pick via Amino, I believe it was, their immediate decision was run into A. And on both those occasions, they went through a smoke. One failed due to Cabal acing them, and the second one was a little bit too delayed, a little bit too split up, and accuracy just picked them off one by one, switching between site and donut to check into mid. So, yeah, it maybe a little bit more time could be taken on those rounds to find different openings elsewhere, rather than just make one decision and go straight in. But that's the sort of thing these teams need to learn, I suppose, at this level.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I suppose you do, when you get this kind of a beating, figure out, well, what went wrong? Why did we get that beating, and what can we do about it next time? It's hopefully going to be a bit of a learning experience for Mirai. Unfortunate thing is, I guess ATOX aren't really like getting anything of value necessarily out of that game. Like, they're not really being tested. So on one hand, it's good to see them winning and doing it comfortably, but on the other hand, you know, with the knowledge in mind that they are going to have some pretty tough games ahead over the next couple of weeks or so, you know, maybe it's not super valuable for them to be sending a couple of P90ing players into the B bomb site to close a map out. And, you know, how much realistically are you taking from that game as ATOX? I can't really imagine it's a huge amount. So yeah. I don't know what their preparation is looking like as far as that Asia RMR is concerned, but this game, not too valuable for them.
No. I mean, I think they probably, truth be told, they probably look at it exactly like that and just think, okay, let's get this done as quickly as possible, then push our focus elsewhere. So that'll be what it will be. But I believe we're going to a very quick break, and when we're back, we're going to have a quick chat about the next map that will be coming up in the next second BO1, I believe.
Well, I actually think we're going to go have a look at the MVP first, and then we'll go to a break. So we'll talk about Cabal for a second. It is, I mean, look, it could have been anyone, really, at the end of the day. It didn't really matter who you chose here for ATOX. 15 and 5, he went 3.0 KDR, 81 ADR. I mean, Dobu was up there as well. He was doing pretty well towards the early stages of that map, and we saw Zesta doing pretty well at the back end as well. So pretty much anyone except Accuracy. Accuracy was really the only one that felt like he kind of missed out there on Ancient. But
on the fun, yeah.
It doesn't really matter, really, when you've got 4 guys that are just doming.
Exactly. Yeah, the one round he needed to do something against that rush toward A that I mentioned, he did. So what can you really say, to be honest? And yeah, we'll do exactly what I mentioned just a few seconds ago, right now. See you in a minute, guys, for map 2.
Welcome back on in. It is ESL Challenger League Season 47 Asia, and right now we're watching ATOX up against Mirai Gaming, and it has to be said, this has been a pretty one-sided matchup so far. That first best of one, super dominant from ATOX, no two ways about it.
Yeah, and that's just a pure fact of the matter. What can you really do about that, to be honest? I mean, it was 13 rounds in a row to win it 13-2. There were some moments. I mean, I had a very slow game, of course, but he had those two really important entries for Mirai that gave them an opening pick in two of those gun rounds, which could have maybe gone their way, but unfortunately the strategy they then decided to go for did not work out for them, and every single rifler on ATOX had their moments. It was only really accuracy, the AWPer, who was slow, but as we mentioned in the end of that previous map, when he needed to be called upon, he was there.
Yeah, look, end of the day, nothing really changes going into this next map. We can obviously have a bit of a discussion around that, but at the end of the day, like, we're sort of saying towards the back end of that, like, whether or not this is Ancient or whatever map it ends up being, we've got the videos ready for you guys to have a bit of a look at here. You can see it's going to end up being Mirage that we do find ourselves on. Obviously, Ancient unplayable, given that that was the map that we saw in that first BO1. But I think regardless of what map this ends up being, it does just look like ATOX are a class above, and it doesn't matter what map we get on, they're going to win, and they're going to do it comfortably.
Yeah, I mean, it does look very likely, doesn't it? I mean, if you look at some of the previous stats as well, of what we actually do have available of ATOX on HLTV, they do play Ancient and Mirage quite a lot, and it kind of makes sense. We spoke about it earlier as well. Like, Ancient is a sort of middle ground map that everyone seems to play a lot of these days, and to have that and Mirage, I mean, you're pretty well set, aren't you? In back-to-back BO1s like this. So, yeah, I'm expecting this to be the 2-0 for them, but I mean, all I want to see from Mirai is more than 2 rounds. If they can give me that, an improvement on the previous map, then I'll take it.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. Obviously, you can see our predictions here. We've both gone, obviously, again toward ATOX. It shouldn't be too much of a surprise for any of you who sort of even remotely keep up with the Asian scene. ATOX is actually one of those teams that's kind of getting a fair bit of coverage, right? People are pretty interested in seeing what this team is going to be able to do. I don't know where they would kind of sit in terms of a power ranking. Obviously, you've got the big three, and then you have teams that are sort of floating around, like maybe like Tyloo, and you know, see sort of where they're going to be sitting. And Rare Adam's kind of an interesting prospect to me as well, though. True. Maybe not quite coming together. But like, where does ATOX sit in all that? I think they're somewhere around that. So they would be in the top 8 somewhere, in my opinion. Would they be up as far as top 4? I don't know if I would so easily, readily put them in a 4th position, but you know, 4, 5, 6, somewhere around there, as far as an Asia Power ranking is concerned. So, look, as far as teams that you're going to play against in ESL Challenger League are concerned, ATOX is definitely going to be one of the more difficult ones to sort of match up against. And they're also, I think, probably going to be taking it super seriously at this point, because every single match matters right now for ATOX. Everything is, in theory, attempting to lead in toward the major. Now, whether or not they're going to get there is the next question that we have to ask ourselves. But every single official, every single scrim, you know, there's something to learn, there's something to improve upon, and that's hopefully the mentality that ATOX have got coming into this matchup, even if it's going to end up being a super one-sided game. Yeah,
true. I mean, we saw a little bit of cheekiness with the P90s, but other than that, I mean, like, it's not like it's an M249 or something, right? Like, yeah, the P90's viable if you're rushing, and they know they are better if they go as a group like that. So, yeah, just a little minor bit of trolling, but, you know, we're here for that sometimes. Yeah, as you mentioned, like, the S-tier teams, of course, in this league, you got your Mongols, you got your Tyloo, you've got your Lin Vision, but where do you put ATOX in the rest of that? I'm not sure. There's an argument to say they're maybe ever so slightly better than you Happy, I would say. Maybe they're pretty even. I've watched maybe one or two of their games in the past, so it's kind of hard to tell from my eyes. But yeah, I mean, that's what they want. And we're going to see if Mirai can put up a better performance than they did in the previous map right here. Unfortunately, we missed the pistol again, but it shouldn't matter too much, because we're going to see the full gun round coming in. MIQ, I've got their AKs alongside Zesta brought up. The 2 Galils on Dobu and Cabal as well. Accuracy saving for the AWP, only on the USP against the full eco.
Yeah, he's feeling pretty confident about things. Asu has got himself that upgraded Zeus. Actually, there's a lot of Zeuses available, so this could be a little bit scary for ATOX if they're not too careful. already Dobu's gone down, and that Zeus will be recharging as we speak. I think it's 30 seconds right now, isn't it? That you get that second usage out of the Zeus. And that Galil's been put to good use as well by Ameno. So ATOX might have just rested on their rolls a little bit too much here. And definitely don't want to be letting around like this one slip.
Not at all. Galil is a nice pickup for Ameno. He started well this time, rather than taking a while to warm up into the map. They have the Zeus in play, but obviously that's not going to be working from a range like this, so they're going to have to go in with the USPs, try and throw the USPs in and bait the Galil in to do the work. That's the idea, you'd imagine. And MIQ fighting against Janeka right now will get that one, but look at the damage done to the rest, and MIQ will take both of them to make it 3 in total. And now it would make sense for him to try and save this Galil, but he tries to at least take one more player with him, not to be. Zesta finishes that one off. And that is the 2-0 confirmed, albeit a little bit more difficult than expected.
Yeah, a little bit more, but look, end of the day, 2-0. It's good to see. But let's see what Mirai are going to be able to do in this gun round, because that's obviously where the meat and potatoes of this game are going to end up being, what's the word, cooked, I guess, if we want to continue with that analogy. Hopefully Mirai are going to be able to cook something pretty nice, but I don't know if the recipe book is on the table or if it's maybe been lost. Oh, accuracy. Not quite living up to his name there, missing that first shot, but good damage off the nades onto Walnut in mid.
I like this angle from Walnut. He used the edge of the smoke to his advantage. Saw some cool plays at the bottom of Con with those new smokes, just tapping through the corners of them. Unfortunately, Amino removed though by Dobu, and they'll switch the AK and the Galil over, so he's on the lesser weaponry on 4 HP. You'd expect usually the AWP to be given over, but in this instance, accuracy has no armor. It is a glass cannon, so that's why he's keeping it. And he's going to go for this duel as well. Spawn's been pushed by Mirai, and it's proving to be quite an issue to remove him. In the end, W is actually the one to get Seven Nation out of the equation, and Walner is found by MIQ. So 4v2, he's going to be forced to push through that molly as Isu and pushed into his death, sadly. It's only Janeka.
Yeah. Poor old Janeka, unlikely to be able to get too much done here, and that was an interesting choice of swapping. Maybe thought it was an AK on the ground, but back toward the M4. Best case scenario, holding on to the M4 here, but in reality, even that doesn't feel like it's going to have huge amounts of impact in the next round. If it's going to be the only gun that they have to play with, they will have a little bit of loss bonus building up, but it's still not going to be enough to really trouble the scorers here. So I don't know that they're going to get a proper buy-through in the next.
Janeka could do some good damage here. I say that just as he gets found by accuracy, but he found one more, and accuracy only obviously had the AWP with no armor, so I thought for a second that maybe he could be fallible, but he holds an angle nicely. Now he gets his armor in play. That's what using the USP in that second round only gives you, at least gives you a chance, even if you don't get a kill, to get that AWP in the third, even if it's without armor. But yeah, they've got it sorted out. 3-0, and it's Mirai, unfortunately, on another low buy, a deco this time around. All 5 Deagles across the board.
Well, Deagles can certainly do some damage, but again, I feel like I'm grasping at straws a little bit, trying to paint a picture here that is going to be favorable for Mirai. So far, I'll be proven correct in my assumptions, at the very least, that it's not looking like it's going to be too close of a round. There was one brief moment of excitement, I suppose, but by and large, we're getting what we expected. And maybe even then some.
Nice shot by Seven Nation, but I'm afraid it's all we have to speak about. And now Janeka's made noise, of course, on the B site, so they know where they've locked him in. Not even going for the plant yet, they're all looking for the kill. And finally, it'll be herded back away by Zesta to get it down. Go for a peek himself, and actually a peek into his demise. That's a little bit bold. AK pulled out. Janeka gets another one. Here we go. For accuracy, finally finishes him off. More damage than perhaps ATOX will have wanted to take, but at this point, I don't think they're too bothered because they've got more than enough in arrears.
Yeah, that was a bit closer than I thought it was going to be, but like you say, it's not too concerning for them at the moment, unless it turns into something a little bit more later on down the track, and jury's out as to whether or not that's going to end up happening. It's kind of, I guess, the onus that is on Mirai at this point. But they do have a decent bite. Straight out into mid though. ATOX are able to take control of that area of the map once again. Dobu doesn't look like he wants to stop. He's straight up into connector.
Wow.
And Walnut, I think he was sort of almost ready for that, but at the end of the day, that unbridled aggression is just going to be a bit too much to deal with.
It's tough for them. Dobu's already in stairs, and what he's doing to the AWP, blocking it in the corner. So difficult to get away. I see him get removed. I think he's got a chance to do some work here. That removes accuracy. Looking for a second, and he will get that second because Dobu's very low HP, but in the end, he's stuck between, well, a hot place and a Cabal place, and the Cabal place takes him down.
Yep, once again, Janika. 1-on-3 this time. He's got a flank coming in to deal with as well. It seems like...
Ooh.
Well, I might have spoken too soon. Oh, has he heard Zesta? He certainly has now. Molly into his position, forces Janika to smoke himself off. I still don't think he's got much of a chance of winning this round, but if he finds the timing through the smoke, maybe. Only thing is, he's not even really going to give it a crack. He's maybe waited a little bit too long here. He does have a defuse kit, to be fair, but Zesta's been able to cross all the way to triple, and that will be hugely unexpected.
Unfortunate for Janika. I have to give him his props and say that was a nice try. But once that Molotov was thrown down, he decided to smoke it. I think, realistically, if he runs through the molly, he dies as well. But it's probably a better opportunity to win the round. Because run through the molly at the early stage of it burning, of course, doesn't do as much damage. He then, of course, would have known where Zesta was playing from. Would have perhaps given him a chance to pre-aim him out of the round, but not to be. And ATOX will keep their clean sheet intact.
Yeah, I guess you've got to be a little bit disappointed here if you're Mirai. They've been close in a couple of instances, even with that sort of Deagle round. Like, that was maybe closer than it ought to have been. But they haven't actually been able to convert any of the rounds, which will be the big problem in the long term. Dobu, a little bit of a tap back and forth there between him and Seven Nation. It's only Ameno to really speak to in this one, and it feels like ATOX are kind of just defaulting back to the same setup, which is like, alright, we're going to take mid control, and then we're going to see what happens, and we'll play off the basis of that. And it's been working pretty well for them so far. No reason to change it up.
Some nice shots are being hit, though, from Mirai in this game now. These nades can be awfully painful, though. That put him from 100 to 26, I believe, there. And Zesta will remove it. Little angle there being held by NYQ, but he's been tagged down as well, and he's got the bomb, so he needs to get that down. Zesta is still yet to die in this game. See how long that lasts. Maybe he'll go for the no death challenge in this one. We'll see how long that, how long he can keep that up. Let's go from Cabal on Isu as well. Seven Nation has found him, but it's a very hard angle to pre-aim. And now, of course, they know where he is too. Amino's got the M4, but he's smoked off on the big flank. That's not going to be doing anything. 6-0 as expected.
Yeah, and the half is kind of starting to get away from Mirai here a little bit. So they're going to have to find a way to kick into gear pretty early, but like, I don't know, man, based on what we've seen on that first map, it's just a question of whether or not that's even going to be possible.
Almost got one more kill at the end there, Menno, but fortunately not. It would have just been a consolation anyway. This is just the reality of the situation, unfortunately, for Mirai. They are the significant underdogs, and ATOX are proving that in this game, in these back-to-back BO1s. So far, I think it deserves to be said, Jordan, that ATOX have won 19 rounds in a row, if I'm not mistaken.
Fair enough, yeah. I mean, that's big maths on a broadcast, isn't it? So, that's a stat. That is a stat for you. But will it be only 19? Because I've already found the opening pick for Mirai. This time a little bit less presence in toward mid from ATOX. That one player getting taken down, and Seven Nations also been able to find accuracy. So this has to be the round that Mirai now is able to convert. If they can't get this one, then I mean, it's probably going to be too far gone at that point.
The only thing that could be a problem is that MIQ is already out Tetris, and I'm not sure they're aware of that. Something that if they maybe slightly change up the position on the A side, if they shift into triple or next to default, MIQ could just catch them off guard, and it just throws the round into disarray for Mirai, but they are going to go for a 3-man A play here. Palace spotted once and for all, but Aisu managed to take Zesto in the meantime. There is his first death of this game. 2 versus 5 now. What's only done to Aisu? Seven Nation playing around with the smoke. Finally gets one, but only the one, and now it's down to Cabal. And honestly, from what we saw from the previous map, he has a chance to do something with this.
Yeah, 1v3 for Cabal. I mean, I'm not necessarily going to count him out of it. It's a tough one to win, but do you have Janika isolated away from this engagement? So this ends up kind of being maybe even 2 1v1s if he can get this first kill. Aisu was in a very bold position, but hits the shot, backs himself, which is fair enough. 1 and 6. Mirai have their first round on the second map.
And that's great to see. Getting good picks around the map. Nice bit of mid-aggression as well, working out really nicely. The AWP showing up. That's what we want to see. A bit more competitiveness into this game. Cabal did his best, but in the end, the AWP and the time on the clock weren't really on his favour either. There's another one.
ATOX maybe getting a little bit too big for their boots, but then again, perhaps so is Walnut. Oh, yeah. Jumping all over the place in mid. But he's able to get out alive, and the nade stack should catch Gobu. Good shot through there. Good bowling indeed. And again, numbers advantage for Mirai for a brief moment until ATOX bring it right back.
Smoking windows, accuracy will fall away as well. Not the bomb, still in spawn, so just assuming that no one's pushed forward to spot that because of the position of MIQ. And they'd be absolutely right. And the rotation round to CT is basically Amino's only answer. He's actually going to go to B. Maybe they're considering a save here instead. They know A's been completely taken. He's checking the B site, maybe considering that they're still going there, but now they realise it. So they've got a little bit of money left over from, of course, winning that round with 3 players alive. But you'd have to say it's going to still be a tough one. Needs to be a good pre-aim here from Amino, and there we go. That's lovely on MIQ. And they do have some good utility for this retake.
Yeah, but decent post-plant positions as well for ATOX, so it'll be tough to dig out unless those Molotovs land. Janika rather, has not crossed it in yet. Will force out accuracy, but Zesta is there ready and waiting, and time's certainly going to be a factor. This will have to be defused in the smoke. Amino has lost the round now. So it was a 1-round wonder for Mirai, apparently, as ATOX are able to strike right back.
Worth an attempt, but
yeah,
sadly, it was just that attempt. Walner is struggling a little bit in this game as well, only 1 and 8. I mentioned he's the youngster of the team, 18 years old. His 1 kill was at HE, top mid, of course. He seems to be playing very aggressively in that mid area. This is the sort of game that obviously you mentioned it earlier, that you hope Mirai will watch back later and see what mistakes they've made and try and learn from them, of course. We know that they're a team that is the big underdog, learned from one of the bigger boys in ECL Asia. It's going to be a bit of a pop toward B, actually, for ATOX. They're really turning up the pace in this round, and it's working out well for Mirai in this instance. 2v2 recovered before Dobu hits another 1D. He's looking for a third, perhaps. Oh my goodness, the pre-fire. What's going on? Amino's caught in the open. And now he's 7 HP, and they know where both these 2 players are now as well.
He's not shying away from these fights, is he, Dobu? He really thinks he's going to be able to win them. If he had 1 more bullet, he would have gotten Amino, but ran out.
Is the dream possible here to grab this B-site rush? It was really Dobu who did it all, but unfortunately, Aisu, who is a high HP player, has been taken down, and then Dobu gets his last on Amino, who he did so much damage to earlier, of course. And it is 8-1. Another buy can come in, but it'll be a little bit messy as well.
Yeah, it's just definitely going the same way as the first map was. In fact, it's I don't know about you, but it's kind of feeling like even more dominant actually for ATOX than the first map. At least on map 1, you know, Mirai got off with the pistol round, and there's a couple of sort of closer rounds in that one. But yeah, this has really felt like it's almost been entirely ATOX, obviously barring that 1 round. Not really much in this one to write home about for Mirai either, right? They've got 3 rifles, barely any util. Like, what do you even do with this round? You kind of just have to death ball, I guess, and that's why they've set themselves up all around mid, but even that's not working out.
Oh, MIQ will spot Isu in the corner as well. With accuracy close, I thought maybe he'd be baited in that scenario, but actually Isu reacts nicely. He probably had the information anyway, especially with 7 Nation in the position he was in. But Janika will take Dobu as well. Nice trade from Zesta, so it will be recovered once again. They always just have that extra insurance policy, the extra man over to make these rounds as comfortable as possible. And Zesta hits another tasty one. He is zesty, and it's 9-1.
9-1. Dominating display from ATOX tonight. Money's a problem again for Mirai, though. I guess at this point you're kind of just like, well, we've got to win a round somewhere, so we've got to just put everything in we can. And they will force. Asu, 7 Nation have got an M4 apiece, and Walner, Janika still yet to invest, but it's not too exciting, unfortunately, for Mirai at this point. Feels like they're kind of almost running their head against a brick wall. There's accuracy to open things up, and just look at this from accuracy. Like, this is unreasonable.
That's one way to put it. Glass cannon AWP in this round, just running riot. He'll finally be put down by Walner. Borderline deservedly so, for his misgivings. Walner gets a free AWP from that, so maybe something he can do with that instead.
Well, hopefully, because Mirai kind of needs something going for them. And they're not really getting it. ATOX are going to try to go toward the A bomb site, so Walnut could definitely come into play. Amino's in a good spot as well with that deagle, though might be spotted out, or perhaps not. He was saved by Walnut killing MIQ, who was on Tetris. He got himself one onto Cabal, and now a potentially winnable round for Mirai, but with that kill going the way of ATOX, you might start to doubt whether or not that is going to end up being possible. And it will not.
Instant dink hit there by Janeka, but Nobu finishes it off with the spray. Zesta's got a 7 KD with those 2 extra kills. There was a chance for a second there, and you're absolutely right with MIQ going down to that Walnut AWP shot. Just let Amino be a little bit more surprising for a split seconds, a few more seconds, and he managed to get that 1 dig. I say 1 dig, it took him about 4 shots, but it was a headshot, so I'll give him that.
Yep.
But yeah, it was
unfortunately...
that counts in all of our books, I think. But yeah, unfortunately couldn't do much more with that. And then Dobu will try and compound it in the following round. A quick fire entry, gets taken down immediately, but that bakes in the A players. Accuracy and Zesta get 1 apiece. Amino's fighting back well once again. We've had a couple of 2v2s and some close rounds in this one, but unfortunately, Mirai have only been rewarded with the 1 in total, and Janika is pretty stuck here. Cabal should be about to see him, and Molotov going to give him no room to escape, and nor will Cabal give him any room to escape. It's 11-1, it's 1 better this time around for ATOX, and we'll see you after a quick break.
Well, not a whole lot has changed from map 1 to 2. In fact, it feels like it's actually gotten even better for ATOX as they now find themselves at an 11-1 scoreline at the end of the half. So, suffice to say, a pistol round right here for ATOX would pretty much wrap things up.
Yep, looks looking that way. It is what we expected going into this game. Maybe we didn't expect it to be so brutally one-sided, but either way, it's something for Mirai to look at in the future, perhaps, and work on. I still gets a nice start, though. Look how far Minnow is out toward A already. ATOX aren't showing anything on A, and there you go. That's actually going to catch Cabal off guard. He had no clue that the angle being played by MIQ on triple could have exposed his teammates to those positions. Accuracy, have to do some work to recover the situation. He gets one himself. Zesta, though, he gets two, and that puts Janeko into a 1v2 that's very winnable, though. He's just standing in the smoke right now, just waiting for it. And now MIQ, they're body blocking in the smoke. Does he realise that? And no!
Oh,
he wasn't just playing in the smoke. It's because he disconnected. That is an absolute heartbreaker, considering that was actually very winnable for him.
Oh, that's so painful to watch. It's like, you know, you just... You know, they're not allowed to have nice things. That's the real takeaway here, is that they just are not allowed to have anything good happen to them tonight.
Feels bad, man.
Guess we'll have to wait a little bit here for him to get back, but...
Never rains but it pours, as they say.
You know what the sad thing is like, it could have just happened in 5 minutes and it wouldn't have mattered.
I know, right?
Because this game would be over.
That he won't be going to bed tonight thinking, oh, what could have been? It could have been the instigator to bring us back into the game.
No, exactly. It's just not it.
Sag.
Well,
guess we're going to wait for him to come back, hopefully. Hopefully it's not a more permanent looking thing.
I mean, what's an Asia CS night without a bit of a tech delay?
Yeah,
you know,
not wrong. Been there.
Doing Asia CS for quite a few years now, and it's not something that is super surprising to see. I mean, especially when we're talking about, like, actually, you know, often it's the Mongolian teams that have issues because Mongolia's internet infrastructure is not fantastic. If you ever see the Mongols or even ATOX generally, like I think actually even ATOX and the Huns, I'm pretty sure, when they were all qualifying or trying to qualify for the Asia RMR, none of them were playing in Mongolia. One of them was in China somewhere. I think it was the Huns that were in China. Mongols, I know, generally tend to play in it's either Vietnam or Thailand, one of those countries. And ATOX was somewhere as well. Like none of them play actually in Mongolia, just because well, I suppose routing is partly an issue. But I think the general internet infrastructure there as well is not ideal. I recall a lot of the time when we had the sort of the Mongolian teams playing in the gaming houses and such, they had multiple internet lines, obviously, because they just were not reliable enough to rely on one of them at a time.
Yeah, it's everyone's in different situations in life. You have to count your blessings for where, for example, I guess me and you are with a pretty consistent, reliable situation.
Yeah, my internet's great. I can't complain about it at all, really.
Exactly, yeah. So I would say same here. I think I've only ever had one disconnection during a cast over 4 and a bit years, so not bad. We'll take that.
Usually if I have a DC, it's probably my own fault, because 9 times out of 10 I get an email that's like scheduled maintenance for da-da-da-da day, and I always put it in my calendar now, because it's happened a couple of times where I've like been in the middle of a game or something, and then I'll just drop and I'll go, oh, right, there was maintenance tonight, and it's like normally at like 1 a.m. or something, so it's always pretty reliable. Once they give you the date or the time, it does go down. It's like as soon as it hits 1 a.m. it's like boom, off you go.
Yeah, I mean that is a common thing I mentioned to you, of course, earlier as well, before the game got underway, with my my other caster that I occasionally do quite a lot of work with, Mr. Matthew Hayes. He's from South Africa, and obviously has there's lots of other things going on in South Africa that could contribute to that, like load shedding, for example, and gets contacted about specific times it's going to go down. He has to switch to a generator during a cast, basically. It's like, obviously it doesn't disconnect him, but it's a backup that automatically switches on, and sometimes that can be a bit messy. Everywhere's got their own pitfalls, but that's what we have with online Counter-Strike. What can you do, really?
Yeah,
these things happen.
All right. Well, don't really have much of an update for you guys, unfortunately, because it seems like things are taking a little while to get rolling. And honestly, I've got to say, this is one of the worst things that can happen when you're a Counter-Strike caster, is you're one round away from the game being over, and then it's like, well, game's not going to end now. And we all know that he's probably going to come back in 5 or 10 minutes, and then we're going to play like 30 seconds of Counter-Strike, and the day's going to be over.
Yeah.
So it's just an unfortunate situation, really. I mean, it's obviously, not ideal for us, but certainly not ideal for the players as well.
No, we're just complaining about first world problems there, and I think that's what can you really do? Realistically, is that it's an unfortunate situation, as you say, for everyone involved. I mean, probably the worst feeling for the player as well. One, he had a chance in a 1v2. As well, because the first player was really low HP. He was playing in the smoke, which I thought was the right play to make. That's why I didn't think he disconnected. And then MIQ sort of slowly shifted up to him and body blocked with him, and then he just disappeared in front of his very eyes, which was very sad. And then secondly, as you say, when he comes back, it's 12-1 already. Like, are we just going to be, like, if it was them, are they just going to say, are we deciding just to play one round 5v4 and get it done with, because we know what's going to happen anyway? But I think for competitive integrity reasons, it's important that we wait for him to come back to the server, and important for the players to make that decision to play fully 5v5. So I think we're going to have a little bit of a break when we get this sorted, if I'm not mistaken. And we'll be back in a minute or so, guys, I hope.
All right, well, here we are back again, and we'll get to find out whether or not I'm going to be proven correct in my assumptions that this might not be lasting too long. Either way, we've got all 5 players back in for Mirai. Let's see whether or not they're going to get more than just the one round here.
Let's see if it is what we suspected. I have a feeling it might be. Accuracy has started it well. Warner will be removed. And it forces Mirai to go for a walk-out ramp. They've got 3 deals and a scout to try and make some magic happen here, and MIQ probably won't be allowing it. There goes Amino. There goes Janika. It's all down to Isu and Seven Nation. They're going to need to double dig their way out of this problem. It was a nice opening from Isu to remove Zesta. I believe that's now Seven Nation. I'll get back to that in a second, because Seven Nation's fighting for his life. Does well to get 1, but not 2. And Cabal will push for it. So there we go. That is what we suspected. And ATOX get a 13-2, 13-1 win in this ECL season 47 matchup.
Yeah, not too many surprises really there, is it? It's exactly the way that we said it was going to go, that he'd come back into the server and he'd pretty much get to play like, what, a minute and a half? Probably not even that. I think that was not even maybe 60 seconds, and then we're done. But look, as far as tonight's results are concerned, we were definitely looking towards the 2-0 for ATOX. We both predicted, obviously unanimously, ATOX for both of those matchups, and it was really like not a whole lot to necessarily win for ATOX in a way. Like, they had everything to lose in this matchup. They don't get anything. There's no like no one's patting them on the back for getting the 2-0 tonight and saying, yeah, great job, guys. It's like, well, if you didn't get that, we would have been concerned. But the fact that you have managed to get it, it's like half of the course, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
It's not like anything too exciting necessarily.
It's like a going through the motions formality type thing. Yeah, it's one you'd expect to win pretty easily, but I think they'll be pretty happy with how clean it was, especially as you mentioned multiple times with the RMR coming up, of course. So, you know, a quick look at the MVP, of course, from that game as well. It was MIQ with a 15.78 KAD with a beautiful 122 ADR as well. But it has to be said, all four of the riflers that we saw play from ATOX today played very, very well. And accuracy, the AWPer didn't really have to do much, especially map 1. As cases often is the case on CS2 these days, you know, the AWPer was a little bit more viable these days, of course, because of the lack of Pika's advantage being nerfed. The riflers are king, and we're seeing that today too.
Yeah, indeed. But hopefully that's something that, you know, they'll be able to sort of continue rolling going into the Asia RMR. We've talked about the Asia RMR a lot. Obviously, when we're talking about Asia, it is going to be the tournament that is on everybody's lips for the next couple of weeks or so. But yeah, very positive signs for ATOX there. Got to say, I'm happy with how they performed, though I'm not going to read into it too much. I want to see them play against better competition, and hopefully they're going to be able to get their reps in prior to heading off to that big tournament to try to qualify for the major. But either way, that is us done and dusted for tonight for ESL Challenger League Asia. It's been a pleasure, obviously, having you guys join us. We hope you enjoyed the show. And, of course, do continue to tune in to Asia. We'll hope to see you again in the future. For now, though, good night and have a good one.